This is Rob Carbone, and you're listening to BD4.
Here's Barrett, some shake and bake, hits a three. That's eyes in the crowd with Barrett. 5 on the 24. Barrett previously in the air ball. The drive, the layup, that's it home. Gets it back, keeps it out Barrett. Barrett for three. RJ Barrett from downtown. Quick trigger three. Gets another triple. Looking for more. Smith to the buzzer. Now it's good. J.R. Smith from way downtown at the buzzer. No bad, good open look. Hooks it in. They're on their feet at Madison Square Garden. Alley-oop to Ewing. That'll make the Garden warm.
Patrick Ewing faced a double team, but still was able to hit.
Finish. And the foul. He's ducks under. Got it. With 8 left.
Dude, I can't believe it's already November. Not only that, it's November what? It's about to be November 7th. All right, it's about to be midnight November 7th on a Saturday morning. That's crazy. November 7th already, dude. I mean, I remember it was January. It's crazy. I do. I remember New Year's Eve celebrating that. Then I remember the end of January, the whole Kobe Bryant tragedy. I remember the cancellation of sports then happening in March. Then I remember a few months later, the revamping of sports, July. I remember the Yankees starting up. I'm getting excited. We're going to have a season. I remember watching that season. It's fucking crazy. I feel like the regular season for baseball was yesterday. And then the playoffs, obviously. It's crazy. We are in November. Is it Christmas time soon? I mean, shit. Might as well start celebrating Christmas time. What better? If there's one year where I think people would accept early Christmas decorations and shit, because I know people usually get pissed off about that. Fucking hey, I think if there's one year, 2020 is the year to get into the Christmas spirit earlier. Lighten the mood. Especially with COVID and everything, and with this whole election shit. That shit is still going on. Trump and Biden. I don't even care anymore. It really is. I voted Trump, but we're not even going to get into that. But it looks like he's going to lose. Some weird shit going on behind the scenes. This is the first year I really paid attention to the election. I don't know, man. It was some sketchy shit overnight. It's some weird ass shit, but it's still happening. I think this is something that people expect to go on forever. But it's crazy that we're already in November. It really is. Pretty soon basketball is going to be revamping. Even though it just ended not even that long ago. Yeah. I heard there was a bunch of shit's been happening in the MLB offseason. Not exactly, not necessarily trades and signings and shit like that, but big pieces of information, some big news in terms of the MLB. I've heard, Manfred wants to carry this expanded playoffs into next season and so on. Did I not call that? Did I not say that? See, that's the issue when people were saying, calm down, it's just 1 year. No, when you try to change the game, you try to change the game. And I knew this was going to happen. I literally said it in one of my podcasts earlier in the season when this news came out that they were expanding the playoffs for 2020. I literally said it. I said this is going to be something that, carries on. You don't just do something one time and then keep it at that, right? They're changing the DH rule. I think that's almost confirmed. And now they're trying to bring this expanded playoff format into the future. I said it on here, BD4, and I also said it on my buddy's podcast, Greg's podcast, Yankee Crazy Podcast. I said it a bunch of times, and I knew it was going to happen. And here we are, talking about keeping this expanded playoff format, which is dumb to begin with, but you've already heard me rant on that enough. 5 Dodgers tested positive for COVID. I'm sure they'll be fine. But, it is interesting. Alex Cora back with Boston as the manager. That's nuts. But you had to believe that was their plan all along. Fire him to make themselves look good, look like they're holding themselves responsible. And then now here they're going to sign him back. I'm partially happy about it because I hated him so much. I think it'll kind of help refuel that rivalry that's kind of been disappearing of late. So maybe he'll, spark things up, especially now that he's back and he was a big part of that scandal. Speaking of cheaters, AJ Hinch is also back in baseball. He won't be managing the Astros, though. He will be managing the Detroit Tigers. So I guess that's a decent punishment there, being that he didn't get anything but a slap on the wrist. And that's really it. Steve Cohen bought the Mets. The Cohens bought the Mets, and maybe hours, not even after getting hired, he fires GM Rudy Van Wagenen. Fucking Mets. But that's it. Nothing on the Yankees front. Just that they extended, or they offered a qualifying deal to DJ LeMahieu, which is yet to accept. And I don't expect him to accept it. It's going to be something that it's a qualifying offer. So I think the Yankees are going to offer him that cheap deal, and then he'll say no, and then they offer him a legitimate one, maybe for 3 years, around 60 mil, whatever. That would be nice. But I think DJ is somebody who is deserving. If other guys are getting paid north of $25 million per year, he's deserving of that. But I think he is somebody who will take a lesser salary because he's that kind of team player. All right. We'll get into things now. We will get into things. I don't know what else. There's not much to talk about tonight. I'm just going to talk about some things that the Knicks have been kind of thinking about. The whole Christian Wood thing has kind of resurfaced. That was the thing back in May. Now we're kind of hearing the Knicks are enamored. Kind of hearing those rumors resurface. Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, yuck. We'll talk about that for a teensy bit. Don't want to waste time on Kidd-Gilchrist. I need a new TV show to binge. Is my attention span just really bad? Or am I really just coming across boring shows that don't intrigue me? Maybe I should give The Wire a 714th shot. Maybe I should give Yellowstone another shot. I'm trying. I recently today, when I got home from work, as soon as I finished my homework, I started watching 24, which is an old show, early 2000s, but it's intriguing so far. I'm only 20 minutes into the first episode, but it looks good, so maybe that'll be my new one. I'm trying to find something, man. Ever since I watched Breaking Bad a few years ago, I've had an issue finding a show that I really like. I think that's the problem. When you find a show, when you find the greatest television show of all time, that sets the bar. It sets the bar all the way up there, and then everything from there is downhill. All right, let's head to break, get to our first break, and when we get back, we will get started. All right. All right, fellas. So really quick, I just want to remind you that if you haven't subscribed to my podcast on the many different platforms that I'm on, you can do so right now. And all you got to do that is go to my website. Just go to nysportstalkrc.wordpress.com/connect. Once again, in order to subscribe to the podcast and listen to the podcast or watch it on the many platforms we have, go to my website at nysportstalkrc.wordpress.com/connect. Christian Wood. Yeah, man. don't hate that they're looking at him. I really don't. 6'10", 214-pound forward, 25-year-old kid, still fairly young. Undrafted, and it looks like he's got some talent, though. He will be an unrestricted free agent this upcoming offseason. But I do know Detroit has the early bird rights, meaning they can exceed the cap to re-sign someone like Wood, so they can offer him a lot, starter money. So yeah, the Knicks wanted him, I think, back in May. They were talking about that, and now it's kind of come back up again, where they are targeting him this offseason, potentially. Somebody I really like. When I first heard this whole thing, I was all for it. I think Christian Wood, an athletic big who can shoot the ball and who's got good versatility, would bring a lot to the Knicks. So I took down some notes here, and I wrote some of his numbers down. Over the course of his young career, when you look at his per 36 minutes stats, 21 points, 11 rebounds, 1 steal, and a block and a half. So pretty damn good raw numbers there. It was this past season where he really broke out, though, especially when Andre Drummond was traded. And in his last 13 games without Drummond, Wood averaged 23 points per game to go with 10 rebounds on 40% from three-point shooting. And then he shot 56 from the field. In his last 3 of his last 4 games of this past season, he reached career highs in points with 29, 30, and then 32. So he had a really good fucking season. He's nobody who I think is I don't think he's a megastar, but I do think he can turn out to be an all-star scorer who plays good defense too. So yeah, some of the strengths here for Christian Wood, I would say first and foremost, everybody's looking at his improved shooting abilities, right? He has started to make himself known as a floor stretcher. 37% on his career on three-point shots, and that's on 1.6 threes a game. But remember, that's across 16 minutes per game, so the volume is low. But when you look at the rate he's hitting his threes at, there's reason to believe that he can be efficient on a decent volume. Same with the free throw attempts. Shot a decent 73% for a big on 3 attempts per game. Again, 16 minutes a night. So, that a good-looking right-handed stroke, some fucking indicators are there. Those are the indicators that he could be, heading in the right direction as a jump shooter. So that's the one thing you like from Wood. If you were to be on the Knicks, he could stretch the floor and bring you something from that 4 spot that Julius Randle doesn't bring, that Taj Gibson won't bring, that Mitch doesn't bring at the 5. You get that shooting ability from Wood. He's also good at the rim. In the restricted area, he was a good finisher. This past season, ranked in the 96th percentile as a pick-and-roll finisher, which is excellent. He was very good at rolling to the rim. And again, when you're playing with the Knicks, we need as much guys as we can to run pick-and-roll, because right now it's about just Mitchell Robinson, and that's about it. We don't run it enough with Randall. We don't run it enough with a lot of guys. So I think getting Wood, who can thrive in pick and roll and, shoot the ball and then finish down low, pretty electric at the rim at times, that would be huge. Athleticism, again, stands out at you from a 6'10 guy, kind of a mini Dwight Howard type of guy with shooting ability. But he's got a lot of athleticism. He's got length. He's got a fucking 7'3" wingspan. So he's very long, and that helps him, obviously, at the rim, rim protecting on the other end of the floor. Again, getting 1.5 blocks per 36 minutes, you could hopefully expect that to become a per game statistic from him in the future. Does he continue to improve on that end? So he's a good defensive player. I know the Pistons' defensive rating with Christian Wood on the floor was higher than when he was off the floor. So that's a positive sign. I always like to look at that. So those are the positives. A good 3-and-D big who's got athleticism, size, and shooting ability. That's what you want from your bigs. He's a modern day big, right? Christian Wood. Now some of the weaknesses to his game, his strength, he's only, 214 pounds? So he's going to get knocked around unless he, puts on some muscle. In the post, he's going to get bullied, going to have trouble, on the glass in the RA. That's going to be something he needs to work on in order to sustain that success. Off-ball defense isn't there yet. He's a good rim protector, right? But, the help side D needs to improve. And then I have the injury history. Very small sample size. This guy's averaging just a puny 23 games per season across 5 years in the NBA. 23 games per season. Remember, these are 82-game seasons. With the exception, obviously, of 2020. He did play a heavy 62 games, which is good. But outside of this year, he's missed a lot of time. He had the left middle finger issue in his rookie season. He had the ankle issue. He had a couple of knee issues. Twice he had knee injuries. And then I think most recently he had issues with his his right foot. So he's had a lot of injury history. So the sample size is small. You hope that he doesn't become this brittle player who can't stay on the floor, for more than a couple of games this season or for more than fucking 15 minutes a night. That's an issue right now. Durability, things like that. We're going to have to see something. Do you really want to pay, what's the demand going to be? But is that demand, as talented as he is that demand worth it for someone for a Christian Wood, right? Is it, paying him starter money, which, $12 million, give or take, is that too much for somebody who hasn't proven himself for a longer period of time? I think that's probably the range you're going to be looking at here in the offseason. Mid-level production type of money. 12 million range, earning 8 figures right now, but after this past season, I think he's going to be looking for starter money. He's looking for starter money. And again, Detroit can match the Knicks here. They can go over the cap. They have the rights. So, the Knicks are going to have to get into a bidding war, and they're going to end up, regardless, if they do sign someone like Wood, they're going to overpay. They are going to overpay. The question is, how far are they willing to overpay? Right? Is that enough? For me, man, overall, I would welcome someone like Christian Wood with open arms. I always say that. That's one thing I really want to stop saying. Someone like, and then I name the player. Exactly. No, I want Christian Wood. I don't want someone like Christian Wood. I want Christian Wood. But no, I think he would eventually be what Julius Randle could have been with the Knicks, right? What we were hoping from him. So maybe he could, if he comes into town and we find a fucking deal for Randle, that would be nice for once. Always hearing these rumors, but we never get it done. That would be good if we can get him out of town. Fuck yeah. I like him. I think a lineup of Barrett, Robinson, Wood, that's some good defense, and that's some decent offensive production too. Good defense at the rim. You've got good defense in the passing lanes, and then you've got good scoring at the rim as well. That's a solid team. So signing Wood, obviously it would be fun. They could do it. Obviously they would have to, it would require dumping all those team options. Gibson, Portis, fucking Ellington, Peyton, blah, 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 blah. Dump all those guys. Clear some cap, and there's your guy. It would probably impact how they look at next offseason. I don't think they're going to star chase. I don't think they should star chase with nothing around. But, they get Wood. Maybe they're more competitive. Doubt it. But you do have to put that into question. How much are they going to pay him to where it doesn't impact them in the next offseason, which is the big one. So that's it. Christian Wood, again, we've talked about him on the podcast before. We've dove into him in an entire episode where we went into his scouting report pretty heavily. So check that out. Again, BD4 is located on plenty of different platforms. So we are on iTunes, we are on Spotify, the video is on YouTube, we're on SoundCloud, and plenty more platforms. Just go to my website, go to nysportstalkrc.wordpress.com/connect. That will take you to a page that displays all my information, where to reach me on social media, where to reach the podcast, and where to read my blog. Guys, we're going to take one more break, and when we get back, we'll wrap this up. Be right back. I'm on a few different social media platforms today. If you want to follow my Instagram account, follow @RobJCarbone. If you want to follow my Facebook or Twitter account, follow @NYSportsTalkRC. Please don't go and get Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, though. Okay? Please don't do that. That's the one thing I don't want the Knicks to do. Yeah, sure, he would help them financially. He wouldn't take a big hit. The Knicks wouldn't take a big hit. But fucking, he's not good. He has no offense. That jumper is ugly as fuck. I'm pretty sure he averaged 2 points per game this past season. He's not good. He's a defensive-minded player. Yeah, sure. He's a quote-unquote Tibbs guy. But fucking no. I don't want another guy who plays defense and literally does nothing else. Frank. Please don't go get Gilchrist. That's just another junk move. I'm tired of these reclamation projects, right? We dealt with fucking Emmanuel Mudiay. We've tried these reclamation projects before, Hazonia. I'm sure I can name a fucking couple other guys. I'm tired of it. I'm done with that shit. Focus on the future. Get younger. Get more talent. Guys who are going to be here long term. Stop with the bullshit. No more bullshit contracts on team-friendly deals. Last offseason was ugly, but we did it so we can do smart shit in the fucking draft like we're going to do this offseason. So hopefully we draft the right guys. Kyra Lewis, Killian Hayes. Those are my top 2 favorites here. Devin Vassell, although that fucking new jumper is looking pretty ugly. We'll see. We will see. Let's head to the NYK question of the day, and we'll wrap this thing up. All right, so in episode 173, last episode, I asked you guys, which high school did Mitchell Robinson attend? Chalmette. Hopefully I'm fucking saying that right. High school, Chalmette. That was his high school, because he didn't attend college for 4 years, or even 2 or 1. I think he was going to, and then he left. Tonight's question of the day. Tonight's NYK question of the day. Which year with the Knicks did J.R. Smith post his lowest three-point percentage? All right, so one more time. Which year with the Knicks did J.R. Smith post his lowest three-point percentage? All right, so message me the answer or comment on the post once I publish the podcast. That is tonight's NYK question of the day. You're listening to BD4. I'm your host, Rob Carbone, episode 174 of the podcast tonight of BD4, where there is no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. That is it. Quick episode tonight. Nothing long. Kept it short. Kept it sweet. Said what we needed to say, and that is it. I will see you in the next one. Really fucking tired of talking Knicks, so I might take a break. Maybe we'll finally start talking Yankee offseason. I've kind of been delaying that because I just don't want to talk about the Yankees right now. They've disappointed me so much, so, with the expectations they have. So maybe I'll get to them eventually, but, I'm tired of the Knicks. I'm tired of it. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm signing out. I'll see you next time. Ciao. This podcast is sponsored by Anchor.